Thank you, Vinita ji. Congratulations to you, the Amra Foundation, Rekha ji and Balaji of the foundation, and the IIC for organizing this very important discourse on the International Women's Day. And I'm very happy to be here with the distinguished ambassador of the European Union, Ambassador Ugo Astuto, and my dear friend and gender equality champion of the EU. You know, we met, and then, at the time when this initiative was being launched, the ambassador of Finland and Ambassador Ronde, and all of you, men and women. As was said, men are as important for changing the narrative and making women being able to, charge forward and break barriers, change the bias. Unless the men change their bias and they help in changing the bias, it would not happen. And women's leadership also needs to be supported. So all of you, he for she's, as well as the she for she's, are very happy to greet you on International Women's Day. The theme, as was mentioned by Vinita, is gender equality today for a sustainable tomorrow. And I would like to focus on women's leadership and entrepreneurship as an engine of both transformations, the sustainable one and the gender equality one. So, and of course, with India as the focus, which is 1/6 of humanity, which holds 1/6 of humanity in its bosom and is both a macrocosm and a microcosm of all possibilities. And I would also like to point out that there are many positive things that we can speak about in the context of women's entrepreneurship. Indian women are inherently enterprising and resourceful, and sky is the limit if they are given opportunities. And they have proven it time and again. And India can boast of many success stories of women's entrepreneurship. I know that some of them are young entrepreneurs are here, Purva and others. And but we also have the very established ones like Kiran Shaw Mazumdar, Sangeeta Reddy, Meera Kulkarni, Vani Kola, Radhika Ghai Agarwal, Khushbu Jain, Falguni Nair, Tagerita, to mention a few. The very fact that I can't mention all of them is a very positive sign. And they cover all aspects of financial, infrastructural, tech, social, and environmental entrepreneurship. In 2021, India witnessed the creation of 46 unicorns, out of which 13, which is 28%, were by women. So increasingly, all of these enterprises are national, regional, and even global in scope. Our dream and effort should be that they should not be rare swallows in the summer of our entrepreneurial landscape. We should also simultaneously grow the enormous pool of small and medium enterprises, micro entrepreneurs, and over 7 million self-help groups and women's cooperatives all around the country, powering entrepreneurship at the grassroots level for both top-down and bottom-up expansion and consolidation of women's entrepreneurship. But there are constraints. And despite the priority attached by the government of India under Prime Minister Modi to women's entrepreneurship, measured by the scale, sectoral diversity, innovative capacity, and scope, women's entrepreneurship in India has miles to go before it can declare mission accomplished. Our economic growth is not generating a critical mass of women's voice, participation, and leadership in the economy through robust businesses, nor is it tapping or driving the exponential benefits of sustainable job-rich, this is very important, job-rich, and accelerated growth and development for all. Entrepreneurship is a crucial indication of women's economic empowerment and true leadership. That's why I told Vinita that I would like to focus on that today. And complements women's formal labor force participation, which, as she mentioned, is also low in India at 25%. Women constitute only 13.9% or little over 8 million of the total 58 million entrepreneurs, and are concentrated mostly in micro, small, and medium enterprises. And also 65% they work in non-agricultural sector, and 16 to 17% employ people only 16 to 17, otherwise the rest are self-employed, and their contribution to GDP is a mere 18%. Now, the transformative potential, however, is enormous. According to Bain & Company and Google report titled Powering the Economy with Her, accelerating the quantity and quality of entrepreneurship can create over 30 million women-owned enterprises, of which 40% can generate additional 150 to 170 million jobs, more than 25% of the new jobs required for India's working age population now until 2030. Power of gender parity could add another 770 billion to India's GDP. So it can also help harness India's vast youth and young women power, along with declining fertility rates, and help reap the demographic dividend, which Prime Minister Modi also referred to as one of the major planks of his Atmanirbhar Bharat. The challenge now is to make up for COVID-triggered setback to women's entrepreneurship and to use the creative destruction moment to build back better for and through women's entrepreneurship. But we need to ignite women's leaders into fiercely agents of change. And I like your, the putting together of change, leadership, women. You can put it in any order. The total financing needs of women-owned micro and SMEs in India are 68 trillion rupees or $158 billion. Access to finance credit is the single biggest challenge facing women entrepreneurs today. Supply side, with constraints and misperceptions on lending to them, and on the demand side, due to lack of financial literacy and entrepreneurial orientation. This impacts women-led businesses disproportionately and hamper growth. Currently, only 20% of women-owned enterprises access formal finance, that too on the basis of collaterals and for fixed capital, not growth financing. So this is deeply ironic, given that the women-owned enterprises have stronger repayment records. Their non-performing loans are 30 to 50% lower than male entrepreneurs, are twice as profitable, and avail more products, up to 3 times than men. And yet the bias comes in. And yet women are seen to be less creditworthy, less of entrepreneurs. So that is something we need to change. Now, the actions. The Modi government has taken steps for supporting women's entrepreneurship, including under Atmanirbhar Bharat, FICCI, UN Women recommendations on access to finance, ease of doing business, and regulatory compliance and business development opportunities for women are being acted upon. So the first point is change the culture of patriarchy and gender bias in family, society, marketplace, So women's entrepreneurship and risk taking is encouraged, valued, and invested in as a natural woman's vocation. Through awareness raising, role modeling, and incentives, establish and upgrade special facilities for education, training, marketing, networking skills, and close the gender gap in primary, secondary, tertiary, business, finance, STEM, digital education. Third is make big and SME market operators gender responsive. And we always advocate for women's empowerment principles, which requires companies, big or small, to adopt gender responsive policies within the company, in the marketplace, and with regard to the supply chain, but also in the community. Government, big business, and academic institutions must provide and scale up targeted and transversal support and incentives, hand-holding services, technological upgradation and adaptation, brand building, marketing, e-commerce, Tech 4.0 areas, e-payments, business-related enablement. All of these are vital efforts. Also, mandatory sourcing for women-led enterprises under public procurement policies. Some government schemes also promote subsidized credit, and we need women-focused funds. Also, the TREAD scheme, financial support to women-led cooperative businesses in agro-based industries. So, some state governments also offer all these help. So all of that ecosystem has to be strengthened continuously and upgraded. Banks and financial institutions have several women-specific schemes in their loan portfolios, and those also should be expanded, strengthened as we go forward. Access to affordable technology and digital tools and tailored solutions to leverage them to pivot and scale up women's businesses. That is being enhanced. Private sector is being urged to build gender responsive supply chains and deploy CSR funds, because that is a very important source for women to be mentored, to be supported. Greater sensitization about Atmanirbhar Bharat stimulus package and for bankers, MFIs, and other financial institutions on the finance needs of women-owned businesses, and the power of that is being and should be undertaken and strengthened. It has been globally recognized that the government is in the forefront of fostering the role of women entrepreneurship as a driving force for changing the narrative of women-led development, not only women's development, and accelerated growth towards a $5 trillion economy by 2025, while providing the most fruitful and satisfying of outlets. And I really consider entrepreneurship that. It's one of the most fruitful and satisfying of women's for outlets for women's energy and power and benchmarking of gender equality in the country, society, economy, and the environment, including combating climate change. Now, at UN Women in New York, I was involved in mobilizing member states to support the adoption of Agenda 2030, which prioritizes, as you know, gender equality and women's empowerment, both as a means and an end to sustainable development, and has a comprehensive dedicated SDG 5 on it, with cross-cutting targets in 11 other sustainable development goals. We need to create an ecosystem with implemented, targeted, and transversal laws and policies to create an ecosystem with well implemented and also at all levels, central, state, and local, to support and foster women's economic empowerment and entrepreneurship. And of course, private sector and civil society have a very big role to play. We need to enable our women to go beyond the micro, SME, informal, traditional sectors, to grow big. to dream big and also to achieve big, and be in new, innovative, and sunrise sectors, including of Tech 4.0, and empowering a formal quality care economy. The term care economy is something that we were working on very much in UN Women, because that is one of the areas which is very job rich, but right now it is not a quality care economy. So we really need to formalize it, make it more quality care economy. We must achieve India Planet 50-50 in women's entrepreneurship and economic empowerment, leaving no one behind, in the spirit of Sarvodaya and Antyodaya. We must drive a multidisciplinary, multi-stakeholder, all of government, all of society and economy project. Women and girls themselves must claim that entrepreneurial space and destiny. Men and boys must champion that. There has to be significant and transformational financial investment in it for a sustainable tomorrow. If I may take 1 minute to read out a poem on this day by my dear friend Shamim, who's a poetess but also a women's rights activist and educationist. But I just thought, and I apologize to our friends from the EU and Finland, but it is in Hindi. मैं एक धधकता सुलगता अंगारा हूँ जो मशाल बनने को आतुर है, ख्वाहिशों की तीर 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 जोड़कर बनाया हुआ ध्वज हूँ जो शिखर पर फहराने को व्याकुल है। क्या बताऊं, समय ने मेरे जूते में कुछ कंकर छुपा दिए, पांव तो घायल हुए पर दर्द ने हौसले बढ़ा दिए। कहते हैं कि चुभन में नाची में मग्न होकर यूं ढाल दिया है समय तुमने मुझे कि मेरे भीतर इस्पात की एक चादर बन गई। फौलादी मुट्ठियां तुम्हारे विरुद्ध कई बार तन गई। So she's challenging the circumstances, the patriarchal circumstances which gave her much pain, and she grew in that, but she has now formed a sheet of iron around her and she's able to overcome all that. सुना है कभी एक व्यक्ति पूरी फौज हो सकता है, यहाँ फौज मेरे भीतर से तुम्हें ललकारती है, सैकड़ों शेष नागों की तरफ फुफकारती है। मैं अपने हाथों से अपना दौर लाऊंगी, शिखर पर चढ़ अपना परचम लहराऊंगी, सारे जहां को अपने तेवर दिखाऊंगी और समय के सीने पर अपने हस्ताक्षरों से औरत की हैसियत का महाकाव्य दिखाऊंगी। I will show the world the true mettle and worth of a woman. Thank you.